birds to drop dead from the trees. And the birds will drop dead from the
on MTV, God only knows, got my mini-me in the GP, see how it goes. Yeah, a little creepy.
Like, grrr.
Okay, okay, this is gonna be funny. Okay, so this is pretty free form. We got about 25 to 35 minutes. Let's, just basically, this is Brett's with Friends. We're gonna just start this off right now. I'm talking with Antonio GR or GR.
Grr. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome to Brett's with Friends.
Thank you.
Curious, what's it like being a clown?
Oh, straight up in it. I like it. I love it. It's I mean, the thing with the clowns is that there's no like one, there's always the stereotypes, but there's not one clown. Like everybody's clown is different. Everybody falls or joins or becomes a clown like for different reasons. So everybody has either a very personal or a very like their own reason of like how it feels being a clown. But for me, very personally for me, I really love it. I never thought I would be a clown. And it's funny because like when I became a professional clown, like my family was like, yeah, that's no surprise. Wait, what? But yeah, it's to me, it's kind of like I love entertaining. I love being silly, and like the red nose is kind of like it's a mask in its own way, in the sense that like you can say things, you can do things that without the red nose, it would probably offend people. It would probably be weird. Like you might say something and people will look at you like, okay, whatever. But if they turn around going like, what the fuck? And then they see the red nose, it's like, oh, that's funny. Because it's kind of like instantly like they get it. It's a joke. So it's really freeing for me in the sense that now like I can be myself without worrying about like people constantly going, calm down, Antonio, or like, please stop doing this. You're just calling attention to yourself. Like once I became a professional clown, it became really easy to like, whenever I would get excited and start going crazy, when people turn around and go, calm down, Antonio, it's like, now I have a reason to do the opposite. And I can just put on the red nose and go nuts. So it's very freeing for me personally. I don't know. It's something I really like to do, and the entertainment, and yeah, that's it.
And when did you start doing clown work?
Like professionally?
Clown? Like what? You're probably like when you're a little kid, and then like when did you step in and put, like Chaplin had the hat and the cane.
No.
When did you put the nose on for the first time?
I mean, as a kid, I did like, theater and stuff like that, kind of like in school. And I was always interested in that. I was a very shy kid. So I hid a lot in myself. It really wasn't until 12 years ago when I officially joined a circus troupe. And I was back in Los Angeles. I had not much work. So I built myself a pair of stilts and I started busking on Venice Beach. And the character for me was like, you know what? Let's get the classic hobo clown. It wasn't like I was thinking, oh, I'm going to become a clown. I picked that character. The coat, the beard, like the red nose, the sort of drinking. I thought it'll fit great in Venice. And it did. Like the giant drunken clown walking around in Venice Beach became a hit. Like all the homeless and the runaways and all the like street kids loved it. The Venice locals loved it. Like it was really, really on par. And I just kept working with that character. And just like some people have a clown and they work with that one character and like they develop that character, like Chaplin, for example. his character, the what's it called, the tramp, is very iconic, and that's he worked on that character. Like there's other clowns that work on their own character. Me is more of a character performer. Clowns just happen to be part of them. But I have taken a lot of clown workshops, and for a while I was just like, no, clown is a character, clown is a character. And after like 5 years, my friend also in the circus, he turns around and is like, dude, just accept it. You're a clown. Like, look at all you do. You own red noses. You don't leave like you don't leave home without a red nose. You know?
Oh, now I feel naked. I want one. You gotta earn it. Gotta earn that red nose.
Kind of. I mean, it's just funny because, yeah, like he was just accepted, dude. You're a clown. And, taking clown workshops and like character seminars, and the difference between acting and clowning, and understanding the difference between like what improv versus clowning, because they're very similar in the sense that you have to improvise like things on the fly. But the improv guy is trying to set up a scene. The clown is just trying to live in that scene. We're not trying to set it up. It's like the scene happens to us instead of us making a scene. And there's a couple of different things from regular acting and clowning. Like we live in a true moment of right now, and you can plan what's going to happen later, but like it probably won't happen. And you got to be okay with that. And most likely, like it's kind of like having a destination and taking like having multiple ways of getting there, and maybe like not taking any of those and ending somewhere else, and being okay with it, being uncomfortable, and like working with that uncomfortability. So like that's like 5 years ago, doing a couple of seminars and like working with people is like when I finally was like, fuck it, I'm a clown. And it especially came in when in Spanish there's an expression, don't be a clown, which is a very common expression for like, when you're being like calling attention to yourself, when you're being like a little too much, and people will turn around and it's like, dude, like, no seas payaso. Yeah, enough. Don't be a clown. And my mom, like, I was playing with my niece and I was being really silly. And this guy just jokes on the side and he's like, hey, Antonio, no seas payaso. And my mom turned around and grabbed him and she's like, just so you know, he's a professional clown. He actually makes a living as a clown. And that's when I was like, okay, mother's approval. I am a clown.
Yeah.
That's pretty much when he drove in as like, now I can't fight it.
How long does it take you to get into full clown gear?
It depends how, like, on the clown specifically. Let's just say, on average, putting the full white face makeup with like the decorations and the costume, and let's say on stilts or on the ground, because like the stilts will differ by like 5-7 minutes. But the makeup and the costume, it takes about an hour. It depends how intricate, maybe an hour and a half. I do my own makeup.
Wow. And what's the deal with those stilts? It seems like that's a lot of training just to get up on those things. I mean, I've seen people walk in in Burning Man with those things. It doesn't seem like it's easy. You make it look easy, but it doesn't look easy at the same time.
Exactly. It is, I will say, from all the circus contraptions, I guess, all the circus skills, still walking is the easiest to get into because all you need is some balance. But a lot of people that get up on stilts is what we call baby walkers. They kind of look like they're just like a baby deer, like, oh, hi, look, I'm on stilts. Hi, guys. And making it look very natural, making it look like you're actually that tall walking, like just weird proportions. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of talent. Like we practice our falls because falls can really be really bad. I have friends who've broken both arms. I broke an arm one time. Friends have gotten concussions, broken their tailbone. It is a high risk act, but it's the fastest to get into because if you have some sort of balance and no fear of heights, you can get into and go walking about. Doing it right, like it took me a couple of years, me personally, because I hadn't had any training to actually step, like I've been still walking for about 18 years. And it took me 5 years to learn how to go down the sidewalk into the street. Like instead of looking for a driveway and walking down, because it's just a fear of one step. and it's a different technique. And finally, like when I joined the circus, they showed me, it's like, this is how you do it. Like you lower over here and then you extend over here. And I learned it and I practice everything, like how to walk properly, how to run, how to jump, how to walk on different terrain, and basically be in a point where like you're not like the bottom of your stilts become an extension of your feet, to the point that like if I step on a little rock, I can feel it. Like even though the rock is really little, like my stilt steps on a little rock, I'll be like, ooh, a little rock, stepping on something. Just like with your shoes, you get used to that extension. Even though you have like half an inch of space between your foot and the ground, you start getting to know really well. So that's the thing, the most important thing on stilts, like getting to like, it's just an extension. So getting the balance right, and like it's really funny because like there are places that you're walking and there's gopher holes, right? And the gopher hole is bigger than the stilt peg. And you gotta be able to not really like to be just like, whoop, oh, gopher hole. Like your foot goes like a foot in the ground, but you're not gonna fall. And that's when the training comes in. And it takes a while depending on the skill. Going upstairs is easier than going downstairs, Walking on sand is really difficult for some. For me, I love it. I love running on the beach sand.
Is that the easiest surface to walk on? What is it, and what's the hardest surface to walk on? I guess going downstairs is the hardest, but
the hardest is slippery surfaces. Like ground that's wet is really dangerous because it's slippery, and people on shoes can slip and fall down. Now falling down from 9 feet is a whole different fall. So slippery is the worst. Wet surfaces, super slick wet surfaces. Sand, like I said, for me is very nice because it's soft. Like your foot comes in and then it sinks, so it feels like cushioning. So it's actually really nice on the knees and the hips. Usually, since you don't have a heel, stilt is just heel. So there's a big hit that you like take onto your knees and onto your hips, and you learn to like shock absorb it. But in sand, there is no hit. It just like falls in and falls in. And also you can use the sand, since it goes in a bit, like the drag, you can use it to do really cool like balance things by using that drag on the sand, which you can't in other places. For people think it's very difficult because of the fact that you sink. But once you start doing it, like you just gotta raise your legs, and it's great for practicing because you should be raising your legs all the time. So I practice a lot on the beach to make it muscle memory that is knees up, and it's so much fun. I love it. Like, and if you fall in the sand, it's not like falling on concrete.
How do you get back up if you fall down?
You need help. Depending on the size of the stilts, but you definitely need help. And once you know, like the person helping you is barely doing any force. Like they basically grab you and you grab onto them and you count 1, 2, 3, and all they do is raise up, but you're doing all of the work. They're just like helping you with a little lift, and boom, 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 you're up right away. So you can grab like anybody from the street.
So do you need to travel with a spotter when you do?
Not necessarily. Like it's really like people are usually really nice. If you were to fall to the ground, there's usually somebody willing to give you a hand. And then after they help you, they realize, like, especially the way as fast as I do it, like they're just like, wow, I feel like I did nothing. And then you make them part of the show a little bit.
That's funny. That's like a scene out of a movie or something. That's your, I'm a clown. I need help getting up. Help.
Yeah. Oh, and lightning in a bottle. Like I had been still walking for like 4 hours, and I was going to my tent, to my camp, and literally like 30 feet away from the camp, there was some mud and I slipped and fell on the ground. And I'm there and I did not want to crawl to my tent, to the table in our camp. And I saw some people coming by and I was just sitting I'm sitting on the ground just like, and they saw me and and they're like, oh my God, did the clown fall? And I'm like, yes, can you help me? And one of the guys was like really strong. They're like, what do we do? I'm like, would you mind carrying me to the table? And the guy just totally like picked me up and like giant legs that way. And they're picking me and they're like having like they're taking pictures, going like, wow, this is like the funnest we've had today. And like they just got me to the table and I got to take off my stilts. But like it was really funny. Like I'm just sitting there and there's nobody around. And I'm just like, all right, somebody's got to come by. I don't want to walk on my socks or crawl over there. And it did.
Worst case scenario, can you unstrap yourself pretty easy if you need to? But then,
yeah, I mean, I can't unstrap myself until I'm on the ground or until I'm sitting. But on my stilts, it's pretty easy. I've it's just a couple of Velcro straps. Like I can get off and just undo the shoes really fast. There's other ones like I've been wanting to do like ski boot. You know, those things are super tight and nice, and they're just like clack, clack, and you're free. So I want to do that at some point. But yeah, I'm pretty fast at taking them off.
have you ever? What's the most exciting story that's ever happened to you while clowning, and the nightmare story that's ever happened to you?
Nightmare story. Huh. So nightmare story. I've had a couple of situations, like at raves, especially, where somebody comes in a little threatening. You know, at first it's kind of funny. They pretend they're gonna sweep your legs, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna walk away. And we usually have somebody, you know, to keep an eye on us at raves because it's like so many crazy people.
Everyone's all hopped up on Molly, man. They're gonna be tripping out on you.
Yeah. And there was one where they gave me this costume, really difficult costume. Like I got off of it telling them, do not give this costume to anyone else. It was a tree. And then on my head was a tree, like a cuckoo clock. So the clock was here and I had to see through the clock in a black mesh. So visibility was really low and it was just kind of like there. So I couldn't see right underneath me because I couldn't put my head down. And then on my arms, I had these extension puppeteer sort of tree branches. So I couldn't use my hands either. And for pictures, like people would come in closer and I was just depending on my security person, on my PA, to make sure that the people were close and then they would move on and she would let me know. My PA happened to be this really hot girl. So constantly I kept looking for her and some guy was talking to her, some other guy was talking to her, blah, blah, blah. And there was a point where these guys are just like holding onto my pants and I can't see. And I just see flashes and like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know. And like, I'm looking for her and she's like way over there talking to some guy. And finally I just like, fuck this. And I just rammed through the crowd. Like, I just like, the guys were taking a picture and I, you know, raising my legs. I just started like raising my legs. So if there was anybody in front of me, like I would have ended up kicking them. And I just like straight to holding. Because I was just like, I'm not safe and nobody's protecting me. But there was a moment where like these guys were that's when I decided to call it. They were taking a picture and they just started leaning back onto my stilts. And when I turned around to say like, hey, can you step off a little? They're like, oh yeah, sorry. So they're like leaned this way onto my feet. And you know, you can't stop moving. It's not like you're just standing. And like all of a sudden, like I almost lost my balance and he was like, fuck it, I'm out of here. And I got to the holding and I told them that girl like just left me. Like I didn't even finish my set because I didn't feel safe. They were like, it's okay. And what was the other one?
The most exciting story, the most magical time you've ever had on clown.
Oof, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of those. Let's see, one good one. I mean, I will say probably Burning Man. I mean, there's a lot of stories that happen at Burning Man, right?
Yeah.
But on stilts, like I decided to put on my stilts and start walking about, and a buddy of mine was going on the same direction, so he just kind of stood with me, and we're going around. We ended up going to Central Camp, and like I'm running, getting people to feed me drinks, and like being silly. And at some point, I met this French girl, like little short French girl, and I'm talking to her, and my buddy comes from behind, and he just grabs her, and whoop, raises her up, and I just catch her and grab her, and she's just holding on to me like, as I'm on stilts walking with her, and we're chatting and talking, and I'm like half drunk, like I'm doing the clown like with a flask, and I have this girl on my stilts, and we're walking around center camp, and then after that, like I put her down, and I run out of the center camp and find other still walkers, and we managed to convince a guy in an art car to feed us in, and they're like, I don't know if we can feed still walkers in, and I was able to put in about 7 still walkers in this art car, like their sticks. All our legs are sticking out. 2 of us are just holding onto the rooftop, and like they're driving to the stilt bar. And that day was just awesome. By the time I got off my stilts, like I realized how drunk I was. Like it was one of those that I had less balance on my feet than on stilts. But that was a totally magical day.
How many hours can you be on stilts and be cool and not get bruised up or banged up or anything like that?
We try to keep it at 45 minutes to an hour, just because your knees and your hips will get really destroyed. And, you know, especially for work, we try to like not overdo it, because if you're too tired, funny enough is when I'm not getting paid for it, when I'm just going out to do it for my own, I end up doing it for way too long. That day at Burning Man, I did it for about 8 hours.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I was destroyed afterwards. Destroyed. I've done it like when I broke, I did it for 4 hours without a break. And I was really tired, and I slipped and didn't catch myself. But to be safe, we try to do like 45 minutes. And even if I don't take my stilts off, like at least sit down for 15 and give my body a rest. But if I really wanted to, I can go for a long time.
Wow.
It's just
work. Do you have a core? It must be like surfing where your core is going to be strong.
The core is a little bit. Mostly is hamstrings, IT band, and a bit of glutes. That's most of it. More than like the core is always like some basic core, but it's not like super core heavy. It's more like the legs, the IT band, the muscles that run on the sides of your legs. Mm-hmm. Those ones get really worked. Because constantly like they're trying to adjust this way. Mm-hmm. So those ones get really worked, and they start pulling on the knee or start pulling on the hip. So you might start getting like some displacement, and if you don't take care of that, it can really get worse and worse.
Wow, that's a trip, man. It's gotta be a workout. You gotta be in pretty good shape.
I was. Thank you, COVID.
Thanks.
A year ago, I was in the best shape of my life. Now I am. Don't even want to talk about it.
All right.
I see exercise on the window.
Do clowns eat a special kind of clown food?
Sugar and caffeine. Feed the clowns sugar and caffeine.
Where would you like to do you have any upcoming projects, or where do you is it evolving what you do? I mean, you've been doing it for so long. Where is it going? Where's your career going, do you feel?
Well, I'm a bit different than a lot of people in the circus. Not everyone, but a lot of people, since I do have a career. I studied electrical engineering and robotics, and I've done a lot of fabrication, design, all of that stuff throughout my life, which felt really nice in the circus, making props, building costumes, making scenery, stuff like that. For a while, I was looking at still walking as like, yeah, I'm going to go into this path. And, the path goes, you're a performer. You excel at performance. You become really good and start directing, choreographing, writing, or you start teaching. A lot of people start teaching because that's the easy one. I'm not a great teacher. And I didn't see myself choreographing or writing. But lately, I've gotten hired a little bit as a troupe leader, to choreograph or to create the characters with a group of people, to come up with plays, quick things like that. So slowly, in the realm of performance, I'm slowly going more into managing and that kind of the production, which is really cool. I like it. You have all the background from being a performer, and then like you're managing, you get this whole production side, but you know what's happening over here. So when you make a comment, it's not just like, I think they might like this. Like, no, no, no. I know what they need. I know what is required for the performers to be good, and learning what the clients to be good. And ultimately where I'm going is to have a little bit of everything, like the design, the building, the fabrication, little bit of performance, enough so that like I am still loving it, but not too much so that I'm like totally tired. Of course, I'm getting older. I can't keep up with a 19-year-old. So even though I can be 4 hours on stilts, when I come down, I'm just like, oh shit, my hip, my hip. And a 19-year-old is gonna be like, all right, where do we go now? So I'm trying to like focus little and little more on my experience and knowledge. And so going into that production side, kind of like behind the scenes, which I really love it. Like I like performing, but I really love being behind the scenes.
Are clowns scary to you?
They never have been. And I hate the fact that like don't get me wrong, that's one movie. Fuck. Then we have Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which they are so scary, they're funny. But like then it started like this whole trend of the scary clown, the scary clown, the scary clown. It annoys the fuck out of me because it really makes our jobs difficult. There are people that are they have a phobia of clowns. It's called colorophobia. It means actually fear of those who walk on stilts. That's what it means.
How do you say that again?
Colorophobia.
Okay.
It's colorophobia, and it's a real thing. And I've met colorophobes. But being like when people come to me, and I'm on clown outfit, and people come to me like, oh, I'm kind of afraid of clowns, but you're kind of cute, so you're okay. It's like, yeah, you're not a colorophobe. Coloraphobes, you see them from a distance, and they see you and they go white, and they can't come close. It's like it's a psychological thing. Some people are afraid of clowns. Unfortunately, most of my clowns, one of my clown main things is like my characters are like cute and innocent and like mischievous, but sort of in a childish way. Like they're not mean. Like there's other clowns that are mean. Like I'm not mean really. So that makes people that are kind of afraid of clowns, that like are one of those that is like, oh, clowns freak me out, but they're not colorophobes. Like they come to me going like, but you're all right, you're all right. But to some people, I had a friend that was a colorphobe, and we kept trying to figure out what triggered her. And I had my pictures, and he's like, I'd show her one with full makeup, and she's like, no. Show her one with a red nose. Show her one without a red nose. And it was interesting. We couldn't figure it out what it was, but there was some that she could see from a distance and be like, okay, I can see that in a picture. Other ones that is like, I can't see that. And other ones that she'd be like, oh yeah, I'm totally fine with that. And I'm like, really? Come on, there's a red nose and a white face right there. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. Something triggers it. But I don't think they're scary.
Oh, I don't think they're scary. I don't think I'm a colorphobe. I always found it very cool. I mean, I like, Bozo the Clown growing up and all this stuff. Do clowns cry?
Oh yeah. Very much so. Some as part of their character, they're the sad clowns, they have that whole persona of the sad clowns. I don't have a sad clown. I'm not a very good sad clown. I can have a moment where it's pretend to be sad, but not like as a core element of my persona. Others are. So yeah, bring in the clown.
I gotta say it, tears of a clown. So what would you say to people that want to get into clowning? Like, how would they begin, and how would you like for that world?
I would say like if you want to get into clowning, because also clowning, it's not like being an acrobat or a trapeze artist or a aerialist, where you have to have your body in some sort of physical condition and be young enough to do all this stuff. Clown is the one circus skill that the older you get, the better you get at it. the more valuable your character is. So clowns are the only ones in the circus that actually get hired for like 10-year contracts, 20-year contracts. Then you can be really old and still be a clown. Maybe not super active and acrobatic, but you can still be funny as shit.
Mhm.
You know, you can be fat, you can be skinny, you can be short, you can be tall. Like it doesn't necessarily like it's about what's in here and what's in. So, what I would tell people that want to be a clown, definitely it's a good idea to take some seminars on clowning, not on improv, not on acting, but on clowning, because it's a very different thing. And you can start with acting, you can start with improv, and then like go play and put on your clown nose and do like your improv things, but like, and slowly it'll develop. It'll never happen right away. Like there'll be a moment where like all of a sudden you get that uncomfortability and being okay with it, You have to definitely be okay with uncomfortable moments. You got to be able to smile at someone who's just being nasty to you, just like smile and like maybe turn around and continue, or like turn it around with like comedy. And it's not to insult them, but it's to level the situation.
Mhm.
So I would say like take some seminars, read a little bit on what makes a clown from different perspectives, and dig into yourself, because clowns, for the most part, which is really interesting, and same thing with comedians, they have a lot of issues, lots of issues, deal with a lot of depression, a lot of loneliness, a lot of issues of like personal issues. So the clown, it's really easy to put on that red nose, put on that smile, and just be happy. And the other thing is, once you're a clown, like you got to remember that there's a lot of chemicals in your body. One of them is serotonin. And when you're a clown and you're trying to entertain and be happy, be happy, be happy, you're pushing that serotonin. And then the next day, like let's say you did a whole day of clowning and being silly and entertaining people, you go to bed, you're going to wake up like with a hangover. You didn't drink, you didn't smoke, nothing, but there's a hangover because your body's depleted of serotonin. So all of a sudden, like, which is what happens a lot, clowns and comedians, they do a whole run, like a whole weekend, and they already have depression issues. And then on Monday, they wake up and they just want to put a bullet through their brain, because you're out of serotonin. You've wasted every happy energy pill that you have. And now you have to deal with yourself, So it gets like, you got to remember that it's like, okay, it's not me. I'm lacking chemicals. What do I have to eat? How do I supplement it? And like, and I'll just do a lot of digging on yourself, because when you are entertaining people, you can't be one day like, oh, today I'm in a bad mood, and just go out as an angry clown. You can't. You can't. Like, you're out there to entertain people. Unless your character is the angry clown, you're going to have to push it and put on that smile and give it your 110.
Put on a happy face.
Yeah, put on that smile and go at it. And fortunately for me, that interaction always lifts me up. So it's not like I'm pushing myself. Usually, like, I push myself to get out there. Once I'm out there, I get a lot of feedback from people. Like, a lot of my energy comes from people. Mm-hmm. There's other clowns that is on the contrary. Like, they're out there and they're putting it out. Like, I forget the name, but there was this really famous clown from France, and the guy was a horrible person. Oh my God, like an amazing clown. Don't get me wrong. Funny as shit. And like, the stuff he did was amazing, but as soon as the makeup goes off and you talk to him, he was just a horrible, angry, sad person that like nobody wanted to relate with. And this happens a lot. People push that in and bring out comedy to hide all of themselves. So I would recommend doing more thinking, because it's not good to hide on your comedy. It's good to have your comedy as part of your personality. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I would say take some classes, put on a red nose, and get out there.
Yeah. Was there a name for a clown hangover?
I don't have one, but if you come up with one, please tell me, because we need. Oh yeah, you're having after the De Clownides. No, I don't know. So something better. But yeah, we need some sort of technical scientific name for clown hangover because I explained it to a friend of mine, and all of a sudden he turns around, he's like, "Oh my God, I wish you had told me this like 20 years ago because every time after a show, I fall into depression." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, there's that, but you get a hangover from the showtime." And it's like it's really funny. Most people don't realize it, and as soon as you tell them, it's like that makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a term, kind of like colorophobia for the fear of clowns. We need something for clown hangover. All right, listeners, there's homework.
Yeah, if somebody comes up with something, let us know, please.
Yeah, clown hangover. We need terms.
Yeah. Well, where are you located at right now? Where are you at in the world?
I'm in downtown. I'm at the brewery.
Okay. How's downtown going over there? How's everybody holding up?
Well, at the brewery, it's kind of like we're in our own little pod. But I've personally kept myself very much in my own thing. I don't know what's going on out there in the world very much. I'm here. I have another shop that I go to, and I have a couple of other shops and people that like we've settled up like a web of safety, where they'll test themselves, I'll test myself, we'll come in and like we interact. So life is all right, but I've kept myself pretty much in a bubble.
Yeah, this is a wild time, man. I tell you, this is ridiculous. This is crazy.
I know. All my work, this was gonna be my best year so far. Like I had booked from March all the way till mid-September, and then October usually fills up, and then November and December was already starting to fill up, and then February comes in, and then boom, everything gets canceled. And I had nothing until mid-September, and now I've been really busy since mid-September. I had some work out of town at a farm, and then I came back and we had this haunted drive-through all through October. And then I came out of that, and it's been like little things I have a CNC machine with a friend. So we've been using that, and I work with some laser cutters with another friend, and there's been work through that. So things have been coming in. Like I've been working at least 4 days every week, which is awesome.
Nice.
Because my unemployment just ran out.
Yeah. I know. Well, they're working on some sort of stimulus package again for the pandemic, but we'll see if that happens.
I don't know.
It has to be wild. Okay, so how can people get a hold of you? How can they see your stuff? Do you have a website? Do you have Instagram, Facebook?
I have Instagram. I had to get rid of my website because I haven't been updating. So I just got rid of it since Facebook and Instagram are a little stronger right now. My Instagram is nomadic27. That's nomadic with a K at the end, 27. Facebook, Antonio GR. I post things on those two. At the moment, of course, this year we're out of work, but we do different characters, and sometimes we open Instagram for those characters. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, that's it. Those are the only places. Like, obviously, whenever I'm gonna be in the next show I'll be posting it on Instagram. But yeah, at the moment, I'm still not in my head for a website.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that's about it. Is there anything you want to leave imparting any of your clown knowledge, anything I didn't ask that people should know about before we wrap this up?
Just remind people it's hard times, it's sad times, it's lonely times, and having one of these little thingies on your little arsenal helps. You can just put it on and talk to your friends, and it's like a little veil of easiness and silliness, It allows you to be a little more nonsensical than you usually would be.
Perfect. And now I gotta get one of those now.
Yeah, there you
go. What's your favorite clown movie?
Favorite clown movie? I gotta say, I mean, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Um, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's a classic. That's a good one. Um, there's a couple of other ones where it's not specifically a clown, but it's like basically the archetypes of the clown. Um, but my most favorite at the moment is it's a classic. It's called The General with Buster Keaton, who's probably my favorite comedian slash clown of all time. Um, I mean, anything of his is amazing. He did his own stunts, and the stunts are crazy stuff that they wouldn't do this time of day. And not only was he a great comedian and clown, but he could express so much without changing his facial expression. He always had the same face, and you could tell if he was hungry, if he was sad, if he was like just The General with Buster Keaton. That's probably my favorite at the moment.
No, he's a genius. He's a
He
genius.
is.
It's still,
Oh,
his stuff still holds up. It's still classic. He had those big
yeah.
eyes that just said so much.
Yeah, all he would do is like tiny eyebrow, and all of a sudden you get a whole gamma, or like his head would just go sideways, his shoulders come up a little, but his face is always like,
Mhm.
and it's just like the expressions without changing his expression. Like I really relied on him a lot when I do masked characters, when it's all about body communication.
Mhm.
Because he's one of my favorites. I love Charlie Chaplin, but I have Buster Keaton a little higher up.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, let's wrap it up. Hey, Antonio GR, it's been amazing talking to you. I think I've learned a lot, actually. Learned a lot, and I just hope we get out of this quarantine and we can get to being creative on the streets of the world again. And
Yeah,
and
me too.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. And
Hopefully, yes. Thank you for having me.
thank you. Thanks for being here on Brett's with Friends. Check out brettwoods.com. Thank you, Antonio GR. Let's talk soon. Bye, people. And that's usually where we wrap it up. And I kind of put this together. I think we went a little over. Awesome. And thanks. So be safe out there. And let's talk soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too, man. Thanks, buddy.
If I, Akira, want the birds to drop dead from the trees, and the birds will drop dead from the trees.
I don't know how to be. No crib on MTV. God only knows. Got my mini-me in the GP. See how it goes. Yeah, a little creepy.